So yes.
So yeah, and second thing is just I want to understand. Earlier I was a manager. Now I moved to next level. So if I am going for a C level of roles, what is the major roles and responsibility? How I want to convince board members and senior leadership people. So that is the main intention, Kiran.
Okay, okay. Yeah, sure. I think this is a common phase that a lot of people face when they're going from a senior manager to a VP director or a C-level, executive. So how do you communicate to stakeholders internally, externally? How do you problem solve? What kind of critical thinking skills come to your mind? What kind of systems thinking skills will you use? And how do you effectively use abstraction to convey the same information differently to different people? For instance, you brought up that good point about storytelling. So can you come out with any kind of instances around any incidents that happened around your practice, or anything that you can actually tell like a story? Because the story is so powerful that the leaders are expected to know storytelling, so that they can captivate their audience and make them very powerful when they're conveying it. So if you tell a lot of when you go to a religious discourse, if they tell that it's about life after death, soul, and a lot of those things become too hard for people to understand, I think. But if you explain the same using some Ramayana or Mahabharata or any other religious text, for instance, so you should be able to easily understand, okay, good versus good wins over the bad, and those concepts become much easier. So in your experience, can you think about some story that you've actually told in a presentation that you've actually made to your customers when you're actually doing the storytelling? So it could be internal customers, it could be customers that you're actually told. So anything that comes to your mind that you actually told an IT problem using a story. I understand it's not very easy to do that, but you could also use certain kind of stories to convey that. So let me get that from you, then I'll try to explain what that means.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. For example, I am basically I'm from cybersecurity stream, right? So for example, if I'm going for any customer visit or customer meeting, I would articulate more about ransomware. For example, there is a lot of ransomware attack happening every day, right? So cybersecurity threat landscape is continuing constantly evolving. So I can tell some stories like a NotPetya ransomware, WannaCry ransomware. So I have to add some stories, Kiran. So those stories I am missing myself.
Okay, okay. I think these are the realistic ones, like the one you said. WannaCry virus, or the uh, they've there's so many of these vulnerability attacks that actually happen. So those are the stories. But that is one level of storytelling, which is like actually telling what really happened, and telling it. This is one. The other one is using some kind of metaphors in your language. So let us say that you are actually trying to sell a data center solution to a client. And you can say this data center solution is like the McDonald's of the industry. You can get a burger for $10, you can get it for $15, you can get it for $20 based on the kind of topping or the slices that you put, or like it's like a Subway sandwich. So if you add cheese and mozzarella cheese, and then you add in spinach, and then you add in the jalapenos, then this is the kind of pricing that you get. And if you go with the bare minimum, then this is the pricing that you get. So when you're able to do that, your customer is like, oh wow, this guy is able to convey his thoughts in a much impressive fashion, so that it doesn't look like a boring presentation, for them. So those kind of things you can actually adopt and bring that to the table. So that would be a very good means of storytelling. So the other one is to say that, if you want to describe some very heavyweight server which has got a lot of RAM and CPU and memory, you can say that this server is running on steroids. And so just to bring out that element of storytelling in people and use those kind of metaphors in the language. So you have to be a bit creative in your communication. So you can actually listen to a lot of tech talks on YouTube, TEDx speakers,
Okay.
and cybersecurity leaders to improve these kind of skills. So you should be able to convey all of these things in a way in which it actually makes the guy quite interested in watching the thing. And it could be the most boring of the topics, but if you tell it in a way in which it is captivating the audience, they will be with you throughout. If you use these kind of, if you throw these kind of metaphors in the presentation. So storytelling is very, very important. You can actually use a lot of industry examples. You can use your own personal life examples in the story, and you could perhaps say, I was there is no free lunch in the cloud, so you can use that as a concept, because the security is everybody's responsibility. So if you are putting some image on the cloud, then you have to use a shared responsibility model, so that the vendor is paying for it, and you as the hosting provider is actually responsible for it. He takes ownership of what is required as a part of it. And then you could actually use those elements of the presentation in your storytelling, saying that there are no free lunches, because everybody is paying for what they are actually going to be responsible for in a shared responsibility cloud model. So if you can bring out those kind of aspects, that makes the whole thing very creative. And I'll help you polish your presentation. So you come up with a few of your presentations that you're actually planning to do, and I'll tell you how to add this element of storytelling in them.